AITA for telling my daughter and grandkids to leave the night before Christmas Eve? My eldest daughter has had a very snotty attitude towards me ever since she had her first child. Just over 10 years ago. She was convinced from the start she knows exactly what she's doing. And needs no help. I learned quickly to keep unsolicited commentary to myself. Except to me. It's a different story when they're under my roof. I don't think the rules should have to change to accommodate her and the grandkids. For example, this is the same house my kids grew up in. I've had the same rule since before they were all born. No shoes on the carpet. And yet, my daughter tells her children, right in front of me as I'm encouraging them to take their shoes off, to ignore me and go ahead inside. I put my arm out to stop one of the grandkids and said no. That's not how we're doing this. My daughter dramatically huffed and puffed but finally went along with it. Until the next day. We have a good amount of snow on the ground here, so of course the kids went out to enjoy that. So imagine my shock when I hear the front door and find my eldest grandchild, 10 years old, on the couch with his snowy, muddy, dripping boots and muddy prints all across the carpet. I was so angry. Is he not old enough to know better? I told him to go back out right now and take them off, and then he can help me clean the prints. He actually apologized and was agreeable. But then his mom came in while we were cleaning and got mad. Her child had no business scrubbing floors and handling cleaning products. It was spot remover and he had gloves. I told her she had made it acceptable for him to disrespect my rules, and this was the result. She mumbled something under her breath and left. The last straw came last night. We were all watching a movie together when the 8-year-old went to the bathroom, and about 30 minutes later, I realized he hadn't returned. I went to check on him and found he had ruined half of our Christmas Eve dinner that I had prepared in advance. He says he'd accidentally dropped the stuffing, which he'd poorly cleaned up. Half was on the floor and half was in the trash can. And then his snack consisted of most of the mac and cheese and yams we just had dinner 3 hours ago. I was so upset I was almost in tears. I just sent him to the guest room he's staying in and told my daughter to look at what he did. What did she take away from it? That I sent him to his room. She, as always, reminded me that I'm not his parent and have no right to tell him what to do. I said someone needed to because he'd just single-handedly ruined our holiday dinner and it was ridiculous. She snapped and told me I'm an old hag trying to stay relevant. I refused to tolerate any more disrespect and told her to leave. So she and the kids packed up, 8 o'clock at night, and left. Now here we are, Christmas Eve morning, in an empty house. My husband is angry with me for causing them to leave and says it's just a few days. I should have let it go. Is he right? I do wish the kids were still here. NTA, such disrespect for basic house rules. I would never dream of putting my mother in the same situation as you were exposed to. Instead of bend to your rules. She preferred to leave. So it's on her and her awful attitude. Honestly, you deserve better. I suspect husband just doesn't understand the amount of strain that kind of behavior causes. NTA. I want your daughter out of your house too. NTA. Your daughter sounds aggressive AF. It sucks that you can't spend the time with your gran. But it sounds like your daughter isn't necessarily interested in fostering that relationship anyway. And it's also sucky that your husband just thinks you should suck up being called horrible names for no reason. I'm very sorry. NTA should get a hotel and let your husband handle all that shit by himself. He's getting off easy pretending he was willing to deal with the bullshit. You'll come back when the house is spotless again. NTA. Your daughter is wildly disrespectful of you and your home. NTA. She is being so disrespectful you. You deserve better than this. Let your husband go spend Christmas with her and her crappy parenting. And you go check yourself into a spa. I hope your Christmas gets better, yellow heart. From your first paragraph. I was ready to say you're an asshole. But this is not about you interfering with your daughter's parenting. The rules you are talking about are actually just basic common sense and respect for others. There has to be more to this story though. Your daughter is a huge asshole and sounds like she is damaging her kids. Only you might have some insight on why she is like this. NTA. In this specific instance, consider visiting them in their home. I wonder if your daughter lets them sit on her couch with muddy wet boots. NTA. No, to be rude, but your husband and daughter are so out of pocket I don't think they know what pants are. There's nothing at all wrong for asking anyone to remove their shoes in your home, as they're not the ones that'll clean up the mess. It's just common courtesy if requested. I can't imagine thinking I can do whatever I want in someone else's home, especially my parents' home. But the world looks different behind every pair of eyes. I hope you all work things out. NTA. Your daughter is responsible for raising her children properly, and part of that is following the rules while you're in someone else's home. It's just taking off your shoes and respecting the work others have put into planning a meal for the next day. I understand why your daughter says it's up to her to make the parenting decisions, but she's seemingly not teaching her children to respect boundaries. NTA. Sorry your daughter treats you like this. My family, 2 adults, 2 kids, have nowhere to go for the holidays, and it kills me when people who do have loving family ruin it like this. Heartbreak. NTA. I've spent 8 hours cooking a Christmas meal for 3. You spent that much time prepping your meal for double that only for a grandchild to ruin it, and then you take the blame? Nope. Not how it works. It may be time to cut ties with that part of the family, and I agree with the comment above. Get a hotel on your husband's dime and come back when the house is spotless. NTA. Seems your daughter has decided to use the free-range style of parenting, which is basically I can't be bothered to do anything and everyone else has to suffer, my little darlings. NTA. I am a grandparent too, and my grandchild knows better than to disrespect my house. My child knows better. It is my house, it is my rules. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. I play no games. NTA. But the issue is not about the grandkids. They make mistakes. The issue is you and your daughter. You clearly have a terrible relationship. You should not have her stay days when you don't get along. That is just asking for trouble. She is blatantly letting her kids slip and slide through your house and then getting mad at you for being upset. And why is your husband on her side? Do they team up against you? This relationship has been awful for years. This should have never been the situation your grandkids are in with their grandparents. Meet them out for dinners. Have them over for a few hours. But don't invite them for extended visits. This will never go well with this mess. NTA. You should be able to have peace in your own home regardless who your guest is. You did right. NTA. Your rules are fair. I mean, it makes sense to not walk around with shoes in the house, especially if they are muddy. // NTA. Sounds like you raised a brat. NTA. As much as it would have been nice to have stay, the blatant disrespect was just too much. There's only so much every person can take, and your daughter let her kids push you to your limit. That's not your fault, and your husband should not be mad at you. He should be mad at your daughter. NTA. I wouldn't even call those rules. They're just basic common decency. NTA. I am sorry about how hurtful she was to you. I can't imagine how painful this is. Maybe in the future you both can have more conversations about boundaries and house rules and what happens when they are not followed. Her comment about you trying to stay relevant was intentionally meant to hurt down deep. Don't let it hurt you. She said it because she is hurting for some reason. For a daughter to say to her mother, there is something else going on in her life causing her to lash out. I hope she apologizes. Because she is doing harm to her kids by not allowing them a loving grandmother.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.